Welcome back, guys, to Fish Scales and Shrimp Tails. So today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to do voiceover recording that I'd recorded a couple of weeks ago. Try and give you a different look into life in this aquarium, a close-up view, slowed down a little bit, maybe a little bit clearer, a little bit easier to see and listen to. Please keep in mind, I'm still doing all this on a cell phone camera and some basic free editing software. That's why sometimes my intro graphics and outro graphics and music changes, because I don't have access to the free stuff that I had access to last week because I change it. Any of you who've done any kind of editing know that story. This is the Sunkist shrimp tank, formerly my problem child that I could never get them to breed. This is the BulletProof Beginner tank that I got so much flack for its design and its sustainability. I just want you guys to see that you can turn things around sometimes without being too dramatic. I mean, this tank went from kind of tragedy because I could never get them to breed to triumph. And really all it took was patience and time. And maybe a couple of extra shrimp. So a while back, I decided that the shrimp population I had bought from a breeder a little ways away might have an issue. I wasn't sure what it was, but I thought there might be a biological issue for why they weren't breeding. So I went out and I bought a dozen or so orange, I believe they were pumpkin orange shrimp, from a more local breeder to try and encourage some breeding. Boy, did it work. Clearly, it worked. Almost immediately, I started to see results. And I only made a couple changes. I added some shrimp, and I changed some diet. That was really about it. But I do have almost two distinctly different populations of shrimp in here now. You can see the shrimp in front of you right now is so orange, it almost glows on the screen. Bright, brilliant orange. And I think this is one of the babies from the first population that I had after they started breeding. After I introduced the new shrimp. He has that very dramatic orange look. Then I have some in here that are more burnt orange, more of a copper color. And I think that's just a byproduct of, number one, having two distinctly different colorations in here that have been breeding together for a while now. So you get some of these oddballs. And the fact that it's just, there's so many shrimp in here, it's obviously time to start culling the population back. It's time to start separating out the colors that I don't want to continue breeding this tank and putting them in a tank, like a Skittles tank or one of my other community tanks, and sort of nurturing the development of that brighter orange color. But really, it was the introduction of new shrimp that changed that, and a slight change in diet. As you guys know, I feed them powdered food. I have bloodworm and algae wafers, flake food, and soy hulls that I've all ground up in a coffee grinder into powdered food, and I feed them that instead of having to buy something like Bacter AE. However, my local fish store, one day I went in and they had some floating goldfish pellets on display. They were cheap. They were $10 for a liter container. So I bought them and thought, well, let's see what this does. Very, very high protein. So I ground a bunch of it up and added it into their powdered food. And then I occasionally throw a few of them on the top because they float. And the shrimp absolutely go crazy with this stuff. I definitely noticed an increase in my population when I started feeding them this. You'll see when I drop this stuff in the top of the tank and it floats, sometimes you get so many shrimp grabbing onto that floating pellet trying to eat it, it'll actually sink to the bottom with all the shrimp holding on to it. It's very, very high in protein, so it lends itself to the development of eggs in the females very, very quickly. I have some females in here that are buried, and I think that's very much a result of the food that I'm feeding them. The other change, um, beyond adding shrimp in and changing the diet slightly, has been a change in the lighting of the plants. I've increased the lighting that was in here. However, I've mainly done that so that I can increase the cover on the water with floating plants. My Java moss in here gets so out of control, I've pulled buckets of it out of here. This tank just recently went through very hardcore trim. That's why a lot of the plant life looks so low, and all the red stems are, you can barely see a lot of them over the rocks because I've cut them all down just recently and pulled a lot of the Java moss out. But I increased the lighting in here to increase the growth of the plants. The reason I did that is because I'm trying to weed out the Hygrophila corydoras. It's a great plant. It's super good for beginning aquariums because it's good at filtering out of the water. It grows very, very rapidly. My problem with this plant is it's a very nutrient hungry plant, especially when it comes to potassium. And I started to notice a lot of my plants got pinholes, especially the corydoras, because of potassium deficiency. And it was never my intent to have that much in here. So I've started weeding it out. And you'll notice when I zoom back on this tank, you'll hardly see any of that corydoras in this tank at all anymore. There's a lot more red stems. I've started using the water wisteria as a floater. And this is more by accident than by design. I tried several times to plant this in the sand layers and into the dirt at the bottom of these aquariums. And every time I've planted it, it has died almost immediately. It's almost like putting the roots in the ground to kill the plant. But if I leave it float, it does really well. And it creates this dense growth on the surface of the water that catches food and pellets, and the shrimp go up there and they forage around. It's good hiding spots for the babies outside of the Java moss. It's extra filtration level for the water. It diffuses the light before it hits the rocks, so my rocks don't go bright green with algae. So it's been a great addition to this tank, and I think it's helped stabilize. This tank is it's about a year old now, so there's no need for this hygrophila to suck up a lot of nutrients now, and there's no real need for a massive amount of floaters pulling nutrients out of the water. But to have that extra layer of light diffusion, just sort of slow things down, so I don't have to worry about algae so much. So I don't have to worry about the amount of light coming into the tank, the amount of food coming into the tank. And that's a great thing about having cories in here. I don't understand why people who keep shrimp keep bare bottom tanks with nothing else in it, or they keep a sand tank or gravel tank, but they get detritus worms and planaria, and they refuse to put fish in here. You're limiting your ecosystem, and this is why there's problems. I don't have planaria in my tanks. I don't have detritus worms. Why? Because I have cories. Cories will eat that stuff up the second they find it. And believe me, I'm sure it's in here. I'm sure there are detritus worms in that sand layer somewhere. I'm sure there's planaria in here. I know there's been hydra in here, but I don't see it anymore. Those cories do me a massive favor by going through and rooting through the sand layer and digging up the planaria and digging up the detritus worms, and they eat it. It's food for them. It's part of the ecosystem. So I don't get, shrimp diseases. I don't get those issues that I otherwise might if I just had a glass bottom box. And I'm not saying I've got it right. I'm not saying I've got it figured out. Like I said, we're going to talk about my successes and my failures. This tank is a success. My favorite tank, the tank I just did a video on. Well, I didn't just do it, but the video that came out a while ago about my favorite tank, and it's my favorite tank. But I had to admit a while ago, I made some mistakes, and it in its current form was a failure, and I've had to make some changes, and we're going to see if those changes worked. You're not going to succeed in every tank you set up. Some tanks are going to take longer to settle in than others, and this one did. This one ran for quite a while before I had any success with breeding. You see these videos all the time. Oh, breed 100 shrimp in a month, breed 10,000 shrimp in a... Give me a break, guys. Um, don't get caught up in that. Put nature in a box, put the ingredients in that they need, and forget it's there. I think that'll probably lead you to the best success you're going to enjoy. It certainly worked for me. Just look at all the shrimp in that Java moth. I mean, you can't even begin to see how many shrimp are in there. This picture doesn't even do it justice. And I don't do anything to this tank. I don't do water changes. I hardly ever clean out the sponges for the sponge filter. I just let it go. I let nature do its thing. And, if I see something in there that doesn't look right, I'll see if I need to make adjustments to fix it. But generally speaking, I just leave it alone. Anyways, guys, I know my updates are few and far between, and I know you'd probably like to see more of them, and I will try, guys, but I'm so busy doing other things, and I enjoy doing this so much, and I don't want this to become something that I have to. I don't want it to become a chore. I still want it to be something that I like doing, and I want you to enjoy it. I'll try to keep at it where I can. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.